Hi, I'm Sydney, and I am a servant of the Almighty God. In this episode, I want to speak about sex change shape shifters, just to show that this is totally an interesting, almost incredible occurrence that's natural in our ecosystem. We see this thing about Mother Nature have created these animals that we know of that actually can change their sex as needed. So when you think about this concept of nature, because whenever I use nature, I'm really referring to our Creator, and like I emphasize, nature is a creation of the godless. And you say, what's the difference between God and nature? With God, there is accountability. We have the commandments that we are obligated to obey. With nature, it's just whatever we feel like it is natural to do, whatever. So what we see in this nature is that there are quite a few animals that somehow it is encoded that they, as needs arise, can actually change their sex. There are many, there's a clownfish, matter of fact, the banana slug has both male and female. We have, there are corals, frogs. We see quite a few animals, and several, the sea bass. So there are quite a few of them who have that capability. Now, do we attribute some sort of intelligence to the animal to recognize that I need to change sex? And when you think about, and the reason I speak not just about sex change but shape shifters, when you think about the physiology that has to change, the changes that have to physically occur in the anatomy of that animal, it is quite astounding that they were given this ability. Because when we look at the concept of evolution being random and being like simply a progression, well, in this case, it's a progression that has a lot of flexibility to it. Flexibility that if we had not done research, we would say it sounds absurd, almost ridiculous, that you have a male animal that changes into a female, or a female that changes into a male. But that ability, this is where, I say that with God, we recognize that all things are possible. And sometimes things that even seem contradictory, because it's like you take a male and turn it into yes, with God, all things are possible. So when we observe these things, we can also recognize that in a strictly random evolutionary process, you would think that it goes in mutations would head in one direction. Well, this is a special sort of exception where I talk about shape shifting, because you have, when I talked about butterflies, going through from the caterpillar to the chrysalis to the butterfly. Well, here is a really good example, including the physiological changes that happen within a species so that it changes sex. And it's fully functional. Males turn into females, and they perform the male function, or females, whichever sex they change into, they can fully perform the function of that gender in the species. So this is another amazing thing we have to recognize. The magnificence, the omnipotence of our Creator. We need to recognize that many of the things that we may, in our species, we may think it's taboo and all of that stuff. We look out in nature. Again, when I use nature, I'm referring to God's creations. It's just, but I want to make that very clear. I don't think, because nature really, nowadays, it's not just a thing, it's also a place. So nature is really this amorphous thing, but it's really God's creation. And we need to recognize that. We need to recognize his omnipotence, and this will eventually, when we think and we meditate on this, it will lead us to becoming more God-fearing, because we recognize the power of our Creator. We will, as I have stressed in my book, we will seek his love and seek to not incur his wrath, because we can understand one so powerful, but he loves us all. This is why redemption is possible to every single individual. We must recognize the true omnipotence, and it's being revealed to us every day in our sciences. As we go out there, there's much that we still don't know. We need to recognize that across his ecosystem, the wonderful place that he has granted to us, that we can be the stewards of this, we need to continue learning, recognize truths, because truth is in front of us. It's what we call nature. We cannot deny these things. We need to recognize the omnipotence of our Creator. Once again, I want to thank you and remind you that this is not a coincidence. There were a series of decisions that you made that led you to this point to find this, so that we can all start this process of moving us. We can each be pillars in building the bridge to a better world. Again, I'm Sydney. I'm a servant of the Almighty God, and I want to thank you for taking the time. And as usual, may God bless. Thank you.